Ready?
I think so.
All right. Call this governing board meeting to order on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 governing boardroom, district office, 570 Camino Lito, Galindo, Rio Rico, Arizona. We all rise for the pledge. Lourdes, can you do this?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call board members, Ms. Lourdes Vasquez,
Present.
Mrs. Susan Fobian,
Present.
Mr. Joe Kramer,
I am here, sir.
Mr. Rene Ramirez.
Here.
and Mr. Brad Beach present. We do have a quorum. Subject B, adoption of agenda. Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
There's no recommended changes.
Oh,
Changes?
no.
Changes?
Now we can motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Then a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, it's aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Subject C, call to the public. And since we do have more people coming to speak, I'm gonna go ahead and read the two paragraphs. Members of the public wishing to address the board on matters within the jurisdiction of the board are required to complete the appropriate request to speak form and submit the completed form to the board secretary prior to the meeting. At the conclusion of the call to the public, individual members of the board may only respond to criticism, ask staff to review a matter, or ask that a matter be placed on a future agenda. However, board members shall not discuss or take legal actions on matters raised during an open call to the public unless matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Public comment should be limited to 3 minutes or less, and the board requests that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate. Pursuant to policy 1-302, the president will limit discussion whenever she or he deems such action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. We do have one call to the public, Mr. Douglas Cook.
I am Douglas Cook and I have a partner here. Chuck Galloway. We're retired engineers and a couple of months ago, when you talked about, you weren't able to have an advanced math class, you have enough teachers. So that all the kids had to be in one class, no matter what their aptitude or ability is. So we have, we're willing to volunteer. Of course, I also have a thought too. I'd be willing to work like a part-time job, like a janitor, to help my retirement pay, but then spend the rest of the time in class teaching advanced math. And Chuck feels the same way too.
I'm coming in really cold. All I can tell you is a couple of years ago, I did all the paperwork and submitted it for doing some tutoring in basic math, basic algebra. And I didn't hear anything back. I think this must have been around 2021, maybe 2020, I don't recall. But anyway, just to let you know that there are people like myself that are, my math skills have slipped a lot. I haven't used them in many decades. But for basic algebra, I think I could still do a pretty decent job. I don't have official teacher training per se. But I kind of thought if someone is struggling, maybe someone that doesn't know how to teach properly can make a connection with the student.
And we'd like to expand that. Maybe you could even make it a program. This is just two of us, but maybe there's more people like us out there. And that would take the strain off you if you needed extra teachers for math, especially. You gotta have math. This country is great because we have the best engineers in the world. We don't want to lose that. We need to train all these kids that have aptitude for math, can really excel for math. We want to let them be all they can be. And if you have to bring in volunteers or part-timers, we're not certified teachers. We could come in as presenters. You just change our title, presenters or teachers' aides. And then maybe you don't have to be this full certification that you have to teach.
One more point, I don't recall if I mentioned it earlier or not, but when I submitted a paperwork for tutoring, originally, it was all gratis. I have a retirement. I've taken care of my future for myself and my wife, and I don't need the money, so I was willing to do it for nada.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep, the more volunteers, the merrier. And if you can contact our district office, they should be able to guide you. Okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, my math skills are lacking also. So.
Mine are just old. It's been 25 years, but I hope I can remember everything.
Number 2, presentation, subject A, construction update. Dr. Lunderville.
Yeah.
Members of the board, I'd like to invite ADM and Breckenridge up to give us the update on our construction projects.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Thank you once again for having us here for the construction update for the month of July. We again have 2 projects to report on for you. So we will start with the CTE building going on down next to the football field. So next slide. Again, just a reminder of where this project is. It's right immediately adjacent to the football field at the bottom of the switchbacks down from the main part of the campus. Next slide. We will show you some progress photos. This is an aerial view showing an overview of the building itself. As you can see, the building is fully stuccoed. Rooftop units are set. And the exterior hardscape sidewalks has been ongoing. The work has progressed a little bit further from this photograph. The connection now has been made to the switchback ramps. This is another photograph of that area. Still to be installed are the handrails associated with the steps and the guardrail associated with the larger grade change there from the elevation slab just outside the building down to the pathway that was requested to be added next to the football field. We are currently working with the contractor to address some issues, such as the one issue that's in this area here is kind of between the concrete and the football field that is dirt. And there's a little bit of a grade there. So we will be coming in with like a grouted riprap area there so that that dirt doesn't flow onto the field in the event of a heavy rain. This sidewalk has now since been poured, but again, this is the connection to the switchback ramps. I was just out there and there are some other grades that I want to keep an eye on for to make sure that everybody's getting to where they need to be safely in that area. Some interior photographs, they're continuing on. They have pretty much everything above the ceiling completed. So later on this week, they're going to be dropping in more and more of the ceiling tile. They've passed all of their above ceiling inspections with the county and are continuing to progress. The units are now turned on. So the building does have air conditioning. We're in the process of doing the slab moisture testing. And hopefully by the end of the week, all the slabs will test in the proper range for slab moisture. And then the flooring will start to go down in the polishing. So we have a mixture of polishing, tile, and carpet throughout the space. This is a shot of the restroom. As you can see, all of the tile work is done. They still need to go back and do some touch up of grout. And on some of the corners I saw that need to be worked on, but for the most part, the tile around all of the restroom areas is complete. And this is another shot of, this is a shot of one of the locker rooms. You can see the bases where the lockers are going to sit and the ongoing progress of the ductwork and above ceiling work. For the next project, I will let Edgar run you through some of these photographs and show you some of the good news on the pool project.
Thanks for having us here, and I'm happy to report that at this point, all inspections have been passed, and we're just waiting for a certificate of occupancy, which will hopefully be coming tomorrow. And at this point, the only thing outstanding from you using it is the user occupancy certificate, which Melissa's already handling, and now that we have all those certificates signed off, we should be good to go. But as you can see, the building itself is completed. A lot of signage was added throughout the facility in terms of the safety and no diving, pool rules, et cetera, that are required by the health department. This is just looking north to what is the admin space. The pool, as you can see, has already been filled. The roster is complete. The lanes were already drawn, and now that the pool is functioning itself, the timing system was able to be completed, and Scott and his team were being trained last week. The solar cover will be installed this Thursday, and again, that happened because it needed to be filled for him to get appropriate measurements and then build that, but that should also be good, and we're excited that we're at this point. The admin office itself is also complete. There's just interior furnishings that you guys need to take care of, but it should be totally hospitable to whoever's gonna occupy it. I know Mr. John Fanning is excited to be down there and having his own space down there, but again, just another view of the pool here, the diving end, pretty clean water. There were a lot of frogs. Melissa had to pull out a basket of them. It was quite.
Frog in the pool?
So, but.
And when I grabbed the basket, they all jumped out, and then I was picking them up and throwing them over the. No one had their phone out, thank goodness.
Did. Yeah, the lanes are drawn and the starting blocks are ready to go. The timing system you can see in the far background where those red kind of like umbrellas are. And just the overall view of your new facility with the diving, with the swimming lanes and the building behind it. Splash pad, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun, and I know you guys are waiting on a diving coach, but that area is more than ready to go as well. Thank you. Any questions?
Ms. Fogan?
So we think we're gonna get that signature from the health department like tomorrow?
We already have it.
Oh, isn't that the one thing we were waiting on?
We were, because the splash pad itself wasn't fully balanced. It was just a decimals off, but they were out here this morning and they signed off, and they were gonna send the paperwork to the county this afternoon. So we'll hopefully have that occupancy certificate tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
No, it looks really nice. Everything looks really nice. Where exactly is that other thing that you said, that like, what is it? No, shade. There was some shading that you said that has to go up. Where is that one gonna go?
No, it's a solar cover for the pool itself during the winter months so that the heat doesn't escape.
Oh, so it's something that goes on the pool, like it rolls up and, oh, okay, I wasn't sure what it was, but I thought you had said something. I thought it was gonna be over the pool, and I thought, where is it gonna be over it? You know, it's just, okay, I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, thank you very much.
Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. Beach. Thank you, Edgar, right? Yes. I'm just wondering, the colors of our building, can those be painted to the school colors?
I'm
Just wondering who chose those colors, but they probably should have been our school colors.
So so if
Yeah,
you flip back a couple to
it's
the
yellow.
buildings. So you might, next time you drive by the front of the high school, you'll see that the addition that we did in the front there is also these same colors. When we were working through the initial design of some of the new additions at the main building itself and down here, we worked with the leadership team to come up with these new colors. So I believe the plan is, once there's funding to paint the entire campus, that the scheme will be completed through the whole campus. So
The plan of the school facilities board that we're still waiting on?
Yes, when we're able to do that, when the turn comes up for Rio Rico High School for weatherization, right? Our next school is Calabasas, but when they come up for weatherization, we would like to move to these more neutral colors because one of the institutional blue is not one of our school colors, which is a very popular color when the high school was originally built. And then we found that colors such as red and green really fade and oxidize over time. So these colors seem to, when we did some research, just looking into what other colors districts have used that have that constant beat down of the sun, those seem to be the most durable, I guess.
Or even white,
Yeah,
you know, we do have that part of our school scheme.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, again, just trying to get that. And then with the solar, where you're just talking about the solar cover. I'm looking at the pool. Is that going to cover the entrance points and the diving area as well?
Yes,
Not just the swimming lanes, but the whole, so it's cut to where it's gonna cover
from my
Where-
understanding, yes.
whole pool and back to the square.
From my understanding, yes, I can verify and somehow get a
we had
response.
the training last week. It's multiple pieces, so it's not just one big piece.
Multiple
There's
pieces that
multiple
can be
pieces, but
retracted.
it covers the entire.
Retracted manually or
It's
electronically?
It's manual retraction. So part of what Mr. Fanning will work on is training the lifeguards, and then Sodexo will also be trained. Our hope is that by utilizing that in the winter, we'll be able to save some heating costs because it's very expensive to heat the pool. in the-
No, I wasn't saying about, I'm, no, not against the solar, that's
Oh,
not.
no, I just.
I was talking about the retractable ones that are electronically and,
It's old school with,
no, not that.
yeah,
No, there's newer ones and you build pools, you know, there's newer ones.
yes.
Right, it was just a cost.
There was a cost.
Well, then that's what we, yeah, well then. It was a cost, it was more expensive. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and then just to answer your first question, all other accessories throughout the facility are the school colors with the red and black and white.
All right, I guess that's, I have one question, Jennifer, when's the building, when is that point, what's the completion date for that?
For the first one, the CTE
Yes,
building,
yes.
the substantial completion is October 7th. So that's October 7th, and then I think we have final targeted for October 21st, or about roughly 2 weeks after that.
On track?
It is on track, yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right,
Yes, that one
Yes.
is good.
okay, thank you, Mr. Geese, thank you, Jennifer, thank you.
Mr. Ramirez?
Mr. Kramer.
Thank you for the presentation. I just want to say I'm very happy for our community and especially for the kids. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, it's looking great. Can't wait to use the pool and get down there and catch frogs. Yep. Thank you for the presentation, Jennifer Edgar.
Right,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, the big one. Subject B, superintendent's report.
Just a few items, Mr. President. Mr. Verdugo, should be returning this week. I know he was able to get on a plane and it landed in the United States, so that's good news for all of us here. Electricity, we had some breaker issues at Rio Rico High School. Those have been resolved and, the electricity is back up. And we're working with SFB to rectify the problem overall. All of the breakers need to be replaced, and we're working through that process now, and that was approved. I guess I should say SFOB because their acronym, that's the School Facilities and Operations Board. Our welcome back celebration is coming up, which is very exciting, and the back to school blitz was very successful last Saturday. It was the first time that we went back to an in-person walkthrough before it was a drive-through. I know that Ms. Lopez will prepare a report, but I know that we did service over 500 students and she'll be able to give you guys, I think it was 542, but she'll be able to confirm that and provide the board with an update. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Governing, subject C, governing board members report. Ms. Fogan?
Thank you. I was able to attend the ASBO conference this week, and that was the first time I'd attended that one. And I mean, I remember at one of the meals and meetings, they announced that there were over 600 people there. And they had crafted the whole conference so that there was literally different breakout sessions for anybody. It, you know, it wasn't just strictly school finance, although, you know, that was fascinating, but there were things that really applied to school board. So it was really worthwhile my time. I truly appreciate having had the opportunity to go. And other than that, I know every kid I run into, I ask if they're like ready and anxious to start, and nobody is, but nonetheless, they come around. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vasquez?
Same thing, I was also able to go to the ASBO, and again, like she says, it was a very, very good conference. You know, you get to, you know, to see so much, and to, you know, from like she said, you know, from finances to, you know, to, I mean, ditching, to all of these things, you know, that you are, anything that you're interested in. So it was really worth my while too. Plus, you know, they have all the vendors and all of these activities, you know, for kids and for families and for all of that stuff. So it was really, really nice. I always enjoyed, this is my second time that I go, so it was very, very, I had a lot of fun. And food was great too, okay, let me tell you. Yeah, it was, the theme was under the sea, so most of the food was, you know, was seafood and stuff, so, you know, that was a treat, I guess. And I heard that that the Blitz was amazing. Ms. Lopez, Angie, congratulations. I know that you had a really good turnout, and that there was a lot of people that attended, and that everything went really smoothly, and a lot of fun and stuff. For the kids, you know, the kids always like that interaction when they're coming back, and when they get to meet their teachers, and when they get to meet, you know, the people that they're gonna be with and their friends and all of that stuff, you know, they get excited to want to come back to school. And then also at the high school, today was the first day that they came. I think it was juniors today. And also there was a good turnout, you know, I think, you know, it went really, really well. So kudos to all of you, and just, you know, can't wait for, you know, for school to resume, you know, for the kids. And I'm sure the parents are like, when is school gonna start? You know, because I bet you that everybody's like going crazy, so. And so are the kids. I know that the kids, even though they say that they're not, they want to come back, and the socializing with their friends and all that stuff. So, you know, good job for them. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes, it was a good conference. Second year attended. Certainly, I think it's one of the better conferences, certainly some of the ASBA ones we attended, to nevertheless, we get a lot of information, and certainly I'm gonna sift through some of it, so just bear with me on this. So the Arizona Youth Risk Behavior Theory, I thought that was a very good, that goes along with the Arizona Youth Criminal Justice Commission does surveys, certainly with, I think it's 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. They do that with the criminal, because we used to do that. But there's so much information there, and I'm gonna give all my notes over to Angie. So Angie, you'll have that in there, because it's really imperative that, because as board members, we're there. So just by giving words, once we leave, it doesn't go. So I'm gonna bring the notes. And by the way, hello, all the principals. Good to see you all here. And you hopefully got one of my emails while I was over there at the conference as well, certainly. But it's important with that. Tax rates, there was another that they were presented about tax rates there. And if you notice that the county decided to lower the tax rates just a little bit, maybe, I don't know, because of maybe our discussions, hopefully, I don't know. But certainly it doesn't, we'll see how it impacts our assessed values. Because the assessed values is what we said is still high, but certainly the state was talking about that at a good presentation on that at this conference. Another one that I did pay attention, because I wasn't really paying attention to who was there in there, but Susan was there certainly, and the one that we were talking about. But I think it's imperative that we talk about this as a board. And there was an article today, what Tom Horn said, schools should consult lawyers about whether to follow Title IX rules, which takes in effect August 1st. If you're not familiar with those, you should be familiar with those. We as a board should be familiar with those. And there is said which states have sued to stop Biden. There's 26 states right now that have already sued, and they are on board to stop it, hold it in their states, because they have court to support on that. So in Arizona, there's, I think, Dysart and Mesa Unified, I've been looking at it along with a couple charter schools. But again, I've got all that information right here. I will leave it with you, Angie, so that we can disseminate it. But it's, again, it's part of that presentations that we as board members go to bring that information back. Utility rates on the rise. You remember when we were talking about that? It's crazy that ASBO had been a participant in the last two rate cases against APS, but they did nothing with ours. As far as what we did with when ours went up 4 or 12% within the Flagstaff area and then this area as well. But Mr. Tim Hogan, I remember he was part of that back in the day when we did fight with Liberty Water. Susan, you and I were on that board. We paid for that. I know we talked about that now with this upcoming stuff. But they certainly talk about what we had done. Like, I think we were the first district in the state to do that. To actually hire an attorney to fight against utility rates. So it's certainly on board and they're talking on another presentation. So I know we discussed it in here. Hopefully we look at that because it's imperative, again, for our taxpayers of what's transpiring in this county.
It's really you led that effort.
Well, thank you. Myself and the Secretary of State's father. Let's not forget him. He was right there with it because he spearheaded it as well. Mr. Fontes, if you're listening, certainly helped. And for information technology, Brad, you brought this up before, and certainly it's important. What are our recommendations of our policies and procedures for IT? We saw this, you and I went in last year, you asked again, but we certainly, I think, Dr. Lundeville, it's important that we see not just presentations, but actually what are the rules and procedures that our IT people are actually doing for everything that we as a board have discussed in that. And I know, again, we brought that back certainly from other conferences, but I think it's important that we see that. Because again, if the state is talking about it again at the ASBO conference, it is really important. Staying consistent, I like this one. It's important to remain fair and consistent in discipline actions if you take. If two employees exhibit the same unwanted behaviors, use the same approach for both of them. This shows that your policy is unbiased and it can always try to follow. Remember when Mr. Ramirez, you were bringing about why one person doesn't have to pay and this other person has to pay. I know we tried to stay fair on that as a board, but certainly it's important. I'm talking like an auctioneer, but I'm trying to get them through. Food service procurement, I think it's important because it talks about delegate procurement authority, giving the governing board that we should be more part of everything that goes on in procurement. There are times I didn't even know that some of the vendors I was walking by, oh, we do business with you. Well, I didn't know that. And I was like, really? Yeah, again, it's not to the business office's fault, but again, we as a board certainly should get that information a little more. So if we do, when we do go to these conferences, we know who our vendors are and say, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Whatever. But we should have our hand, and I know, Susan, you brought that back from the conference you attended last December. They really pushed for the board to be involved in the fiscal responsibilities. And that is certainly what this presentation, again, the presentation from one of the state agencies. Capitalism, we're one-term federal funds, and this is for school safety. And I know Dr. Lundeville, you're working on that and you've looked at this. There's a gentleman that Isela and I chatted with a bit. That there's still $1 million grant out there for on top of that we could grant, not out of the state, that they would, I think he said they would charge us $5 grand. We don't get it this year, they'll revolve it to do it again for free for the next year. Not on top of our whatever we've done with cameras and everything. Isela's got that information, got his card as well. We were chatting with him, but I think another $1 million for safety, even if we didn't get $1 million. He said, she asked him, what are your success rate? He said, I helped 12 districts in Southern Arizona get at least 300,000 to 400,000 plus. Exactly. All right, and the last one, you remember when we were told, and I just blew this blew me away that they even had it there, about the black lighting and the UV to kill all the germs. You know, there was a presentation on that and people, they were still trying to sell that stuff. And I was like, I can't believe this is the one bad thing about it. And I was like, wow, we as a board, at least we stopped that, but they're still presenting. I showed this to the guys in the county that to do this and they were just saying, how can they even let them? I said, I don't know. And anyway, that was the little joke on that. That's what the stuff I saw and what I went to. I popped in and out as much as I could. Some I didn't stay, like that one I just went, yeah, okay, I've got it. and try to get some in. I know we've done that in the past where we've rotated. There's a lot of information. I'll leave that with Angie. Hopefully that we can share that certainly with everyone here and the principals, because it's important that you guys get some of that information. Great conference. I'm glad we went. Yes, back to school is good, and hopefully, next week it's already the back to school on Friday, right? So, all right, hopefully we're all ready and you guys are all ready with your new staffs. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer, Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, I recently read about Diana Holloman making the Phoenix College team, so I want to congratulate her and Coach Ariano for getting her to that spot, because you know you need the coach too. I remember from taking Lucas Berens to Central, so I want to congratulate them, and I also want to wish all the principals and all the admin a great school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to say all the principals, secretaries, custodians, IT, for all your hard work that you put in, prior to the school year starting. So I think we're off to a great start. Continue doing what you're doing. And, yeah, well, we got Friday and then off to the races. So, good job and good luck this year. And now we're moving on. There we go. Number 3, executive session, subject A, Rio Rico High School Aquatic Center. The governing board may both go into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-43103, A, 3, and 4 for discussion or consultation or legal advice with its attorney to consider the position and instruct its attorney regarding the district's position regarding the contract for the Rio Rico High School SFB funded project for the swimming pool. Motion to convene to executive session in conference room 125.
Here.
So moved.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Your name, Vic.
Here. Executive session.
Right over here.
All right. Motion to reconvene to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it, motion passes. Let's see, for information discussion action, subject A, trust model policy program, Title 9 regulations.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. As Mr. Kramer mentioned, the U.S. Department of Education issued new Title IX regulations in April of 2024. School districts are required to have those regulations in effect by August 1st. UNO-Shumway came down last week, and I'll be providing the governing board with summaries of all of the legal trainings that were provided. They were probably very similar to what some of you participated in at ASBO, but Title IX was a topic that we looked at. As you know, a lot of those regulation changes have prompted several lawsuits. And most recently, on July 8th, we were advised of a district court in Kansas ruling that affects Arizona schools. The ruling enjoins the Department of Education from enforcing the new regulations in any school who has a minor student enrolled whose parent is a member of Moms for Liberty, or for any school who has students who are members of Young America's Foundation or Female Athletes United. Right, we currently do not have any active charters at Rio Rico High School. We also, based off of the list that was provided by UNO-Shumway, not listed as a parent with a member of Moms for Liberty. What does that mean for us? Our district currently does not have any stake in the new regulations going into effect. And the trust has written these regulations with some broad sense in the event that I predict that if the governing board chooses to go ahead and approve these tonight so we have a double-edged sword. If we're not in compliance by August 1st, I don't know what will happen to us if we don't adopt the regulations. But I do think that there's going to be substantial changes to the regulations as these lawsuits go through. Title IX does not specifically deal with just gender. There are a number of things within Title IX. Most people are most accustomed to transgender athletes wishing to participate as their gender of choice in athletics. But that is just a small portion of the Title IX regulations that we are required to follow. The general recommendation from the trust is that we continue to work with legal counsel. By the governing board accepting the trust recommendations, I don't feel like we're putting ourselves in any liability at this point because we don't have any active members of those groups. And I also am not sure what exactly would happen if we are not in compliance by the August 1st deadline. But my recommendation is to approve the trust policies with the understanding that they are probably going to be changing frequently. And I have already spoken with Denise Littlebritt, and there is one specific attorney, there's two actually at UNO-Shumway that are dedicated just to Title IX. That's who we had come down and train us. And both of them feel comfortable with us moving forward because we're again not part of any of these lawsuits, but with the understanding that there'll probably be substantial changes as we move forward. And I did ask them if they may be able to participate remotely if there are changes so that we can really look at what those changes are and how they impact us. But these final regulations, may change.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Ms. Colby?
I can't, to be in compliance, we have to approve, and it does sound from every attorney type opinion that it'll change in no time at all. I worry about protection for the teachers. I don't know what all could happen if, there was a militant family who discovered that their child was referred to by the name that they had had for 10 years and now had a decision. And a teacher could accidentally refer to them by the name that they used to know them by. And if it was a militant family, you know, there's repercussions, there's things that could happen. That's my concern.
Thank you. Vasquez?
Yeah, same here. I'm also concerned for the teachers, for the, you know, for our support staff and everybody else, and for the principals as well, you know, because something like that, you know, could happen. But if we are, and we know that things that are changing and stuff, but you know, we, you know, again, like you say, you know, if we knew somebody as Billy and now it's Betty, it's like, you know, and you come back and you say, hey, Billy, and because, you know, you had that student, you know, before or whatever, you know, you kind of, you're there, but you know, between a wall, you know, a hard place and something. It is. I just, you know, those are the things that we really need to protect is our teachers, our staff, our administration, you know, so that if something like this does happen, you know, then they are, you know, safe, you know, from whatever repercussion might come back, you know, so. And again, and it could also turn on students, even, you know, students with students and, you know, and whatever, and, you know, and it's a very touchy subject, you know, but, and it's kind of like scary up to a certain point, but you know, as long as we are working and, you know, the lawyers and you and everybody else are working to make sure that we are protecting the people that we need to protect, you know, then.
And President, if I may just add to that, these policies and procedures have a complaint process. People just cannot get upset and say, oh, my name is Brianna, you called me Brad.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to
Exactly.
sue you. There's
Sue
a
you.
complaint process. All of our district administration, are well aware that of the Title IX coordinator's role and what my role is in investigating, those matters. And so having that training, I think, really helped them understand that there's a process when someone does file a complaint. But just know that it's not an automatic. I know that when you're in those presentations and you hear people saying that teachers are being sued or fired for misappropriately identifying a gender choice, there's a complaint process. So although you can sue anyone for anything, still just know that our complaint process is included in here and that someone would have to follow that.
Yeah.
And the employee would have to be extremely egregious to be held liable for that. It would have to be purposeful. And they would have to demonstrate malicious intent, and there would have to be some loss of some sort within that protected class.
That
So
was not how it was presented.
and there may be a reason that it was presented that way. I'm not sure what group it was presenting it, but just know, I mean, I do think that teachers do need to be protected, but I think there is a complaint process that they would have to follow.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
So we don't protect the teachers if we don't pass them. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that.
That's why I don't want to make sure, because we keep saying protecting the teachers. But I think we always protect the teachers. We protect the teachers forever. Even when I was there in school, we protected the teachers. And there were things a lot worse and things going on that we protected the teachers. By having this policy in place, as opposed to not adopting the policy, how are the teachers unprotected?
I didn't mean to insinuate they weren't protected, but I wanted to make sure that our current policy has a complaint procedure.
Right, that's what, and that's what I want to clarify on that.
But by
Okay,
adopting-
now we're still protecting the teachers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Again, what, in some of this training, and then again, I was getting whatever, a bit, because I was reading through a lot of this. And again, I'm just speaking for myself. You can speak for yourself and yours and so, and certainly all of us parents that have had daughters that played sports, or have daughters that go use restrooms, or have daughters that go into restrooms, starting August 1st, that changes. Let's not say it's not, because that's what if you read the 1,500 pages that the feds put out, it's giving that right. And it's not, it can be what you just said. The person was Brad yesterday, is now Brenda today, walking into that restroom. Or the locker room. That's what's in play here. Let's not forget that. And if we have policies already in place to protect that, again, and I'll be the first, and for those of you that remember me back in the days, I've always protected students. Students, I was one of the principals in Nogales that said, yes, we are going to start the it's called Bisexual Gay Straight Alliance Club. I stuck my neck out and said, we are gonna do that in 2004. Much to the chagrin of my peers. They said, no, you can't be doing that, you can't be doing it. I said, yes, we are. I protected and when I went to Pearson, Brad, you came over later. I had a lot of those students coming to the school because they knew I protected them. It wasn't about protecting, not protecting. I'm just saying what this is doing. And that's why I asked if that policy, if we don't approve it or don't approve it, yes or no, we still protect the teachers. So let's make that clear. We're still protecting the teachers if we have this in play or not. And I principals, again, everyone in there, I really am concerned for the principals too, because this is a hard road to travel right now. And, you know, the filing the suits and everything to that effect where, you know, it would just take one mother to step up board and say, hey, I'm part of this group, and boom, we're part of that lawsuit. If somebody wanted to do that. Again, I'm not saying one or the other, because again, like I said, I've always protected all students. But I just have a hard time with the students that, as you stated as the example, I'm going back to that Brad and Brenda thing. I have a hard time with that. I can't accept that. Because I don't want to put 16-year-old girls who, if you talk to 16-year-old girls, when they're in the facilities, even they are very protective of themselves. For those of you that coach, understand that too. Having a boy go in, that just because that boy is saying he's Brenda. I don't know if these procedures, how they protect that, other than they protect Brenda. What do they protect the other 15 girls? You know, look at the NCAA, where that went. And they filed lawsuits. What did they gain from that? Those swimmers. Same rulings. I'm just putting, this is just my opinion. It's a touchy subject, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not one against one or one against the other. I'm just saying I look at the bigger picture too of all the young ladies and the, you know, that are in those rooms. And I'm not saying that the guys, you know, whatever. I don't think there's ever been any challenge from a person coming into the boys' restroom, girl, but I don't know. But this is in there. It's certainly in there. And I know our attorneys that talked about this when they came down. So we are prepared for this.
Yeah.
So we're prepared for our locker rooms to be utilized by both parties as one. Pardon?
Yes.
And restrooms?
We've had a procedure in place for a number of years where they make a request, and we actually suspended a student who falsely identified. We suspended.
How can you falsify your identity?
He claimed that he was in transition, and when we asked for the paperwork, he was.
But this doesn't say that now, even that. Now it just says feelings,
Yeah.
choice. So let's not go into there. Now it's in I'm this person today, but tomorrow I may be this person. But tomorrow, next week, I'm this person. Next week, I'm this person. That's in here. That's why I'm asking this. Are we ready for this? And you can't challenge them for changing back and back and back and back. Are we ready for this? I don't know. Melissa, principals, are we ready for this? Because that's what's can happen. I don't know about the elementary, but certainly high school and middle schools.
I feel like we've had discussions, and until the issues actually come forth. I can't tell you 100%, like, we're ready for every issue that, or every request that comes our way, because we don't know what they would be yet.
I'm just saying that because I don't want, because it does hit news channels. If it doesn't go well or one way or the another. And again, I don't know, I'm just asking, that's why I ask questions, because I don't know either. But I know that I've spent a lot of time reading this stuff over the last 3 days and 4 days and 5 days and the little time I spent on my phone when I was sitting in the chairs. And I know you spent a lot of time on that. It was Udo Shumway was the presentator.
Think so.
Kathleen Branningham,
I'd have to go back and
she
look.
did the presentation for us as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think we can just continue to work with legal counsel to work through these issues, but like I said, I can't say where there are certain instances that are gonna come up that I can't prepare for because I don't know what those are gonna look like. Or that if they're gonna vacillate from gender, gender fluidity back and forth, like you were mentioning, I think that's when that's why we have our legal counsel to help guide us, like with specific situations, so that we're not violating their Title IX rights, but we're also protecting anyone else who may be involved in the matter too, because this is a one-sided law. And that's part of the reason why there's so many lawsuits. My other question is, I don't know what would happen if we are not in compliance by the August 1st deadline. It's not like they issued something saying they're gonna withhold our federal funding or anything like that, but it just says that we have to be in compliance by that August 1st.
August 1st, next Thursday,
But they don't tell us what.
what the ramifications are.
Right,
Right.
or what they could do to us should we choose not to, unless we're protected from approval or from having modified policies in place if we're part of the lawsuit.
And again, I will say this, and I'm trying to bring it in perspective. I just hope that all of our, and it's mainly not that it can't happen in elementary, but our middle school and our high school parents of daughters understand everything that can happen to what transpires from this starting next Thursday. That there is no secrets, that what we're saying here, obviously it's public, that they understand that this can be transpiring. That this is the way it can be. That their daughters may be in the restroom, there may be somebody in there. Like that, like we were saying. Cross-country teams or girls volleyball team can have whatever. I hope we're spent, that message is being then given out that our parents aren't caught off guard. Because they have to be made aware of this too. Parents of our daughters. I hope they're aware. Because I think they deserve this too. They need that as well. I'm not saying not again, following that as again, I'm saying protecting everyone. But I think our daughters of this district need to be protected and the parents need to be fully aware of what's transpiring starting August 1st. And I hope we get that message out. Thank you, Mr. Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez.
I'm good, thank you.
Same here. Okay, motion to approve the trust policy program, Title 9, Regulations 1-203, 1-203A as presented.
Second,
With a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. Let's see. Where we at? Let's see. Subject C, proposed and prioritize topics and possible dates and times for future board meetings. Dr. Lunderville?
We have subject B, the SCB
Oh,
policy.
gotcha.
I don't think that we have any, but yeah.
We can have subject B, SCVU, SD policies, Ms. Fobian, anything?
Thank you.
Vasquez?
Nothing, thank you, Jim.
Mr. Kramer?
No. No,
Okay, Mr. Ramirez.
enough tonight.
I'm good too. All right, moving on, subject C. Propose and prioritize topics and possible dates and times for future board meetings.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is just a reminder, a special governing board meeting just for hiring purposes on July 31st. At 8 o'clock, that the boardroom will be set up and open if any of you wish to come in person, or there will be the Zoom option as well. The welcome back celebration at Rio Rico High School breakfast, I believe, starts at 7. So you guys are welcome, of course, to be there. The festivities would start, I believe, around 8. We're gonna start moving everyone in. If you would, typically, you guys are all given the opportunity to speak if you'd like. If you could let Ms. Lopez know if you want to do that ahead of time, then we can make sure that it's agendized.
This meeting is only in the event that we have people that come in late. Right, that we have to hire.
The 31st?
Yes.
The 31st is the last, if we do have a handful of people who are missing items.
Sure, as of right now.
We will need to have that meeting, I believe, because I know that there are 2 people who, I know I'm meeting with a teacher tomorrow who was just finalized.
I was gonna say, if we had them already, then why didn't we have them here tonight?
Yeah,
I get you.
there's a few of them that
That for sure.
haven't been finalized. But the welcome back celebration, if you would like to speak, if you can just let Ms. Lopez know, and then that way we can agendize you appropriately, during the celebration. And then our next regular board meeting is August 13th at 5. The list of future topics, I don't believe, I'll turn that back over to Mr. Verdugo once he's here. There was a request from Mr. Kramer that needed to be added. And then I also added rules and procedures for IT and procurement procedure processes. And I'm not saying those need to be presentations, but I thought that might be something that you could add to the list so that I can make sure Ms. Brown is here. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Fogarty, do you have any?
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Vasquez?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kramer?
Just give us an update on the grants. Do we have somebody in grants?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Can we get an update on the, where we're at with the grant as far as, the TSW
Yes.
that we voted on back in February?
Would you like it specific to
Where
TSW?
we're at with it?
Or would you like a grant update on all of our?
Yes.
Mr. Ramirez?
I'm good, thank you.
Great, also. Okay, consent agenda, approval of consent agenda. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed as a regular agenda item upon the request of any board member. Anybody, anything removed? No? Okay. Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Been a motion second. Any further discussion?
Just thank you to, again, all the people. I know we all as a board say that, but certainly a lot of all these nice stuff that we've been donating to our schools. Thank you very much. It's good.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. And I believe the meeting is adjourned at 6:16. Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.